Convener.
Moderator. Julie Renwick, 588. It gives me great pleasure to bring you the report of the Nomination Committee for this year. As I've reflected on our work over the last year, there are some points I'd particularly like to bring to your attention in this almost post-pandemic season, when we're all in each of our areas working on mission plans and how to best serve the area where we're called and where we call home. We're also mindful of the needs of the wider church. This is a challenging time for sure, but it is also a time to grasp opportunities and to know that we can be the change for good. For with God, we know all things will be made new. At last year's Assembly, I encouraged commissioners to ask questions and to make suggestions, which they did. Prompted by that, we have tried new approaches this year as we approached our nominations season. For 2021, we had a very brief video clip. So this year, aided by the Reverend Brian Kerr, a member of our committee, we recorded a series of short video clips of interviews with committee members, past and present, conveners of standing committees, and the chief officer, in order to promote the range of opportunities there are to serve. We also delivered a webinar during which we introduced the process for this year and answered questions. This was fairly well attended and did generate a couple of new nominees and some general interest. Every year, we review our processes. And as a result, for the 2021 round of nominations, we updated the forms that we use and we adjusted the timing of seeking nominations. Thus, our nomination forms this year were held entirely online. This challenged some, but by and large, people were able to navigate and submit the forms. Even though the video clips and the webinar were well received, ultimately, this did not turn into hundreds of nominations. And once again, we experienced difficulty in filling all of the vacancies. In fact, the number of vacancies was greater than the number of nominees. And with some recent resignations, this means that for the year ahead, 8 of our standing committees will be running at below the recommended membership. Most just one short, but a few will run with several vacancies. Each of the relevant conveners knows about this, and they've all been invited to consider any further appointments which we may make mid-term under powers. We invite anyone who's interested in finding out more about serving as a General Assembly appointed member on any of our standing committees to watch the video clips. They're still there on the website, and to review the information that is provided on our nomination committee web pages. If you've got any questions, you can email the dedicated mailbox, nominations@churchofscotland.org.uk, and either I or Karen, our amazing administrator, will get back to you and give you as many answers as we possibly can. You can, of course, ask me a question today as well. By far, our greatest challenge this year was populating the committee to nominate the moderator for 2023 to 2024. There were no qualified nominations received. We needed creative solutions. So we're beginning from scratch. And so firstly, we used the knowledge of our committee. With a careful reading of the nomination forms for the other standing committees, we used our knowledge of individuals. We considered past conveners of committees, and some members of our own committee were nominated in order to create a suitable list of the requisite number of ministers and elders, while also bearing in mind age, gender, geographic spread, and a good knowledge of the role of the moderator. We asked some of this year's nominees to serve on 2 committees. In doing so, the General Assembly is asked to permit some specific exceptions as set out in the report. The final list of nominees for the committee to nominate the moderator this year is an even split of 7 ministers and deacons and 7 elders. We ask the General Assembly to permit the suspension of Standing Orders 122 and 118 in order to permit reappointments to legal bodies and to the Theological Forum. In order to continue the work of the Presbytery Mission Plan Implementation Group, PIMPIG, we were approached by Faith Nurture Forum to allow an exception to Standing Order 113 to approve the appointment of the Reverend Dr. Karen Campbell as a member of the Forum and convener of PIMPIG until General Assembly 2023. We've continued to work in consultation with the Assembly trustees in relation to the nominations process for new trustees, as well as offering assistance in identifying new members for the Assembly Trustees Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Group. We also work with the Social Care Council's Crossreach Board, and we were able to make one of the 2 needed nominations. This means that there remains a new mid-term vacancy due to the resignation of one of their current members. They are looking for some particular knowledge and skills are sought at this time with someone who knows about digital and website design and usage. All through this week, we have been made aware that change is not just coming, it is here. The Church is grateful for those who are prepared to add to their already busy schedules by allowing their nomination to serve the wider Church. Within our deliverances, there is encouragement for each presbytery to make nominations, and in order to inspire, to ask those who are currently serving or who have recently served to take a few minutes at your autumn meetings to share their experiences with others and hopefully generate nominations for next year's round. We need you, each and everyone who is listening to me today. If you have served, tell others how it broadened your view. Share the highs and lows of working on a standing committee. If you haven't taken that step yet, please consider it. Ask others about the work that they've done. I promise it's actually not just a privilege, it's often really enjoyable too, working with peers who become friends from the length and breadth of our church. Moderator, before I close, I would like to record my gratitude to my Vice-Convener, Bill Wishart, as his term comes to an end. Bill has been a great encouragement and support to me and the committee, and I wish him well as he finishes his time with the Nominations Committee. Moderator, I present the report, and as I'm not a commissioner, I ask the Principal Clerk to move the deliverances.
Moderator, so move.
Seconded.
Thank you. Now, I have 2 people wishing to ask questions. Fiona Reynolds, if you would come to propose your question, number 395, and then would Paul Middleton, number 533, please stand by. Fiona?
Fiona Reynolds, 395. Moderator, I gave advance notice of my question, which is in relation to Standing Order 118. I couldn't sleep one night. And in parenthesis, it states, if possible, 20% of the Assembly appointed members of councils or committees should be under the age of 35 at the time of their appointment. I want to ask the committee what percentage of this year's Assembly appointments are under the age of 35. Thank you, Moderator.
I'm exceedingly grateful for the advanced warning of this question. And I'm even more exceedingly grateful for our aforementioned administrator, Karen, who found the information for me. Only one of the nominees marked themselves as being in one of the age brackets under 35 on their form. That person is nominated to serve. They were in the bracket 30 to 34 years old, so they may not still be under 35 for much longer. There were some nominees who didn't submit a form. These are for the legal bodies and some who approached to serve on the committee to nominate the moderator. So I'm unsure if any of them may be under 35, but probably not. There were a little over 100 vacancies, across all of the committees and the legal bodies. If the nomination committee was able to fill all of the vacancies, that would mean that we need around 20 nominees who would need to be under 35 years old. If you know someone of that age group who you think can serve a committee, nominate them, and we will make sure that they get used.
Paul Middleton.
Thank you, Moderator. Middleton 533. I've not given notice of this question to the convener, but I did have dinner with her last night and she was worried that there wouldn't be enough questions. So, although this is a genuine question. I think it was about 5 years ago, the nomination committee gave statistics on who was nominated. And I think something like 84% of nominations came from the committees themselves, which may have given the impression that it wasn't worth engaging in the nomination process. Given that the convener has said there's been a shortage, clearly that's not the case. And I guess I'm just encouraging the convener to just again restate that there is no inbuilt bias for committees to nominate themselves, and that everyone should. And I was on several committees when I was very young, and maybe less so now. But it really is a great pleasure and privilege to serve in these committees. So perhaps the convener can just confirm that there is no bias towards nominations from the committees themselves. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Professor Middleton. Yes, some of the committees do indeed offer their nominees, but by and large, the majority come from people who've served saying, this was really good, you should do it, let me nominate you. And so that is something. It used to be that presbyteries would nominate, the guilds would nominate, Kirk sessions would nominate. Now, a lot of that just does not happen. So again, we implore you. These committees are what keep the work of the church going through the year. So please do, as everybody has encouraged. Thank you.
Thank you. Martin Fair, 404.
Moderator, I want to follow up on Fiona Reynolds' question about how many younger people are represented in the nominations. And we were told 1. But can we be surprised when the committees continue to meet exclusively almost during the day? So how are we to have younger people part of the committee work when most of them will be at work at that time? Earlier in this year, we were looking for new nominations to be Assembly trustees. And we had some conversations with folks around this. And one particular elder in my own church, 30 years old, would have been a superb trustee, but as a primary school teacher, and so it just wasn't an option. I'm not suggesting this is going to be an easy fix, but one wonders if there can't be some kind of mixed economy whereby there would be some evening meetings perhaps, and some Saturday meetings and so on. But unless we're prepared to think about that, then we never will have the younger people serving that we would love to have.
Thank you for pointing that out. It's something that we're very aware of, but as the nomination committee, it is not within our purview to tell the other committees how to work. However, we have had discussions, certainly with the trustees about this, and we're all mindful. We have proved in the last 2 years that we can have a mixed economy and make it work. We are looking and encouraging people to undertake hybrid meetings and indeed offering other times, either evening or weekend, and finding other ways to do the work. And we encourage the standing committees to do the same.
Thank you. Jill Clancy, number 139, wishes to speak. Jill's online.
Moderator, Clancy 139. It was just a follow-up from what Martin has just said. I was on the committee for the ED&I, and it has been a great 18 months. However, being back to some form of normal and being full-time in HMP Berlin, it's very, very hard for me to fit in to a meeting during the day. And I felt I was running back just to get to one of the subcommittees and the main meetings. And recently I had to resign from the committee. I would love to be very much part of whatever the Church of Scotland needs me to be. I might be paid by the SPS now, but I am first and foremost a Church of Scotland minister. And so, yes, I would like to endorse what has been said in regard to continuing to think about ways to help those who work full-time in other positions to join committees. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you. Justin Taylor, 346.
Justin Taylor, 346. Moderator, my question relates to women in the service of women, especially as we get to the top end of the church and like assembly trustees and stuff. I have a concern that we have very low representation, even in the kind of thing of moderators of women coming through the church. I just want to know if the committee have done any research as to why women feel that they can't or are unable to apply for these roles, or why they aren't applying for these roles, because I think it does a disservice to the church that we're not having so many talented individuals in those kind of roles. And we also know that where there are excess of women in higher kind of boardrooms, that we find that companies do better and are more pastoral as a whole. So that's my question around the role of women in the church.
Thank you for the question. We haven't asked people why they do or do not put themselves forward for nominations. That's not really within our remit and would be very difficult for us to do in a quantifiable way. We do, however, look at statistics around gender, and when we are making appointments, wherever possible, we try to keep the split so that there is an even balance as possible. And certainly when we were in conversation with the Assembly trustees looking at new nominees this year, we endeavoured to make sure that there was a male-female split in that. So we do what we can with the nominations that we receive. If you have female peers who you think would be good, nominate them, and then we can make sure that they're used. Thank you.
Questions? Let's move to the deliverance. Number 1, to receive the report. Number 2. Now, the Deputy Clerk wants to deal with some issues for us. Would you like to speak, please?
Thank you, Moderator. It's just to confirm about standing orders. I think it might be helpful if we did that in one go rather than in bits and pieces. So just to clarify, for Section 3 of the deliverance, we need to suspend Standing Order 118 because both retiring members of the Theological Forum are being put forward for reappointment, whereas it says that it should be half of retiring members. In relation to Sections 5 to 8 of the deliverance, we need to suspend Standing Order 122 because we are reappointing people to legal bodies due to their expertise. And the final one is, there's a new Section 12 for the reappointment of the Reverend Dr. Karen Campbell as a member of the Faith Nurture Forum. That one is not SO 113, really. It sort of falls between two stools, I think, of SO 114 and 122. So I suggest that we just agree a special dispensation to reappoint the Reverend Dr. Karen Campbell to the Faith Nurture Forum. So if the General Assembly could agree to these, that would be really helpful. Thank you, Moderator.
Seconded. Are we of a mind to do that? Happy to do that. Thank you. 192. Now we have an amendment in the name of the Reverend Julie Renwick, number 588. There's the amendment on screen.
That's me. That's me.
I know, yeah.
That's okay then. Yes, Moderator. These are appointments that were made after our report had gone to the print. So this is simply a tidying up to make sure that these names are recorded because they're not in the main body of our report.
Could you read your amendment? Could you read it, please?
I can read the amendment. At the end of section 3, subject to the following alterations, add chaplains to HM Forces Committee, Vice Convener appointed Andrew Tate, London Crown Court, Minister resigned Alan McCulloch, May 2022. Member resigned Andrew Tate. Faith Impact Forum Minister resigned Peter Nimmo, April 2022. Member appointed Tom Burnham, April 2022, Earlston. Appointment to legal bodies. Mission Plan Review Group member appointed David Watt, Airdrie Newell Wind. Theological Forum member appointed Pamela Kennedy, Peebles St Andrews Lecky.
There's one more.
Is there? Yes.
We also have Grant Gordon being appointed to the Mission Plan Review Group. The motion's been updated, but obviously I've made it to the...
Okay, it's not in my list, so I haven't got them written down.
email nomination.
Right. So, apologies. Member appointed Grant Gordon, Edinburgh Curry. Theological Forum member appointed Pamela Kennedy, Peebles St Andrews. I've already said that one.
Gordon was appointed to the Mission Plan Review Group.
Ah, right. Mission Plan Review Group member appointed Grant Gordon, Edinburgh Curry.
And with that addition to the amendment, do we agree to the amendment? Okay. And section 3 as amended? Thank you. 4, 5, sorry, I've run ahead of myself on this. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we have a new section 12. Convener?
Thank you, Moderator. This is, as we have already indicated, the new section 12 in order to approve the appointment of the Reverend Dr. Karen Campbell as a member of the Faith Nurture Forum until General Assembly 2023. So it's new section 12, suspend Standing Order 113 as it relates to the Faith Nurture Forum. Approve the appointment of the Reverend Dr. Karen Campbell as a member of the Faith Nurture Forum until General Assembly of 2023.
Are there any questions or comments in relation to this? No?
For nitpickers, Moderator, when you see the minute, it will not say 113, but it'll be beautifully formed once we write it.
Do we approve of this new section, section 12, and the deliverance as a whole? Convener? Julie, thanks for your report. Safe to say that many people feel stretched and under pressure to get these spaces and positions covered. Can I just say how thankful we are for those who give their time and talents, but another plea with people to be more supportive for the work of the church at all of these different levels. And you're right, there is a kind of an engagement with the church at a different level that is very fulfilling. So I would encourage those who are not or feel that this is maybe not for them to think again, and it may be something that they will grow into and very much enjoy doing. But our thanks to your committee. Thank you. Eleanor. Call for the report of the Selection Committee. Eleanor.
Eleanor McMahon, 102. Moderator, the Selection Committee met yesterday to consider Section 3 of the Faith Nurture Report, requiring 3 people to be appointed to the relevant committee. We bring 3 names to you, each with a variety of experiences in the auditing of businesses, education, and of taxes, and as such, each have the necessary pastoral, discerning, and numeracy skills required to fulfil the remit given to them. I therefore present 3 names: Richard Baxter as Convener, Transition Minister at Glasgow Wellington, Ms Sheila McFarlane, Elder of Port Glasgow New, and David Watt, Elder of Airdrie New Wellwine. Moderator, I present the report.
Thank you. Do we receive the report and agree to the deliverance and the names presented? Thank you.